Next up on the number one tee.
Well, hello, and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori, and I am your host. And today we have the dudes back. Adam and Abe, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here. Hi, Adam.
Hello.
And then we have our buddy, Erin Groeneveld. Hi, Erin.
Hi.
Or some of us call you EG, too.
You know, that's cool.
Now, Erin, you have a brand new spanking job.
A brand new spanking job.
USGA Northeast Regional Affairs Director. Is that it? Is that like what are you up to over there?
It's a little much.
And is it a little cold? Is it a little cold? Is it
Well,
how can we get you back to Arizona? Is it now?
I mean, I'm here. I'm sitting in the seat, right? I actually am. The USGA has been very nice and allowed me to stay in Florida until my lease is up on my apartment at the end of April. So I'm not currently living in the Northeast just yet.
Oh, thank gosh.
So I don't have to move until the winter's over. So,
but what are you in charge of over there? What are you up to?
So it encompasses a lot of things. It's a lot of relationship building. It's a lot of, maintaining relationships with the AGAs in that community, the Northeast community. So much like the Arizona Golf Association, we have, Mass Golf. There's New Jersey State Golf. There's the Met. Gap Golf Association of Philadelphia, all of those have relationships with the USGA. And so my role is to really kind of manage that relationship and be their liaison to the USGA and kind of fill whatever needs they have that the USGA can provide back to them.
Excellent. So you just came also from what was your title at the Florida Golf Association? Director of Tournaments?
Director of Women's Golf.
And how was that going? Like what's the biggest difference between working at a state golf association and now working nationally for the USGA?
The community is very much the same because I'm still working with those AGAs and the people that do the things that I was doing at the Florida State Golf Association. I'm no longer in the weeds of trying to schedule tournaments and making sure that tee times are posted and pairings are made correctly and the course is marked and all of that nature. It's much more of a broader spectrum.
You think you're going to miss it?
I think that I will have the opportunity to be involved enough that I will not miss it. Part of my role is to attend any of the USGA championships that are in my region, but I'll be there in the environment with the players, with the committee members, which is what I loved the most anyways.
Yeah.
Guys, that's what you say when you're big time.
Big time. She is now big time.
She is now big time.
She will now just be visiting us periodically throughout the year and we just get to see her here. It's really... Abe, how's everything going?
Everything's good.
Yeah. How's the golf game?
It's trending. It's a new year. It's a new beginning. Get excited,
Like, what are you excited about? What are some of the things you're looking forward to for 2023?
Well, our first event is this weekend. So the Arizona Short Course over at Augusta Ranch. So looking forward to playing in that. And I think anytime you can start fresh, it's exciting. So it's
I know, but I'm not going to let you not get specific about what you're working on this year. Like what's the uncomfortable thing that you really would like to accomplish this year?
Win more. I don't know.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Hi, Adam. How are you?
Well, the right answer to that was you're going to work on getting some of those joggers and tight pants going.
Are you going to bring out the joggers?
Oh, yeah. I got some joggers.
Yeah.
So I feel like Ricky Fowler brought the joggers out like 4 years ago. And I saw him with the high tops and the joggers at the Phoenix Open. And I was like, bro, what are you doing?
Yes. Thank you.
You look like you came out in 1985. What is happening?
Listen, no high tops. You're not going to see me wear high tops, but I will wear the joggers.
Is this going to be a new thing this year, a new trend? Like maybe we might even see it this weekend at the short course?
Yeah, I'm going to do it because a lot of people don't like it. So that's what's making me actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to wear the joggers and then like the hoodie too? With the
no hoodie.
The muffler.
I'll still wear the sweaters.
Can we put out a bet? Can we say if Abe beats Adam in one of the 2023 tournaments, that the next AGA tournament, Adam has to wear joggers for at least one round?
I like that.
You like it?
Yeah.
But then what the other side is?
Probably going to have to wear pleated pants.
Yeah, you can fit some of my pants, can't you? So we're going to have...
waiting for somebody to...
We're going to have some nice, comfortable, roomy Michael Jordan style pants, and we're going to throw in a Kango.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Can we do that right now? So this is that is motivation enough, Abe.
And don't feel bad, by the way, because Tori's already lost 4 tournament rounds where she's going to have to wear knickers and a Kango.
And she hasn't done it once.
Well, not yet, but it will. It's been promised. I'll say that much.
So, Abe, what does your season typically look like? How many tournaments are you committing to?
25,
25. So
maybe 30. If I
So
can make
that's-
it work.
that's almost every other weekend, maybe even more than every other
How do you
weekend.
prioritize that though? Like, how do you pick which ones? Like, do you always pick AGA events over travel? Because I know you go to California for a few.
Right. So I'll start with the AGA schedule. And then from there, then I'll go California and Utah. It's basically the same thing for me. So whichever event I want to play in more.
Tell everyone, though, how do you find those events?
So amateurgolf.com, you can go on there and you can sort it by state. You can sort it by, if you want, just like a stroke play event, a 4-ball event, a mid-am event. And so I use that as a good resource. A lot of it, though, is playing in so many events. You're just on that email list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or the guys you play with talk about it. Like, oh, I
For
was at the
sure.
Dixie Am last week
For
or
sure.
whatever.
Adam, how many events are you looking to play in 2023?
I won't get to half of his level, but I shoot for about 12. If I can get one a month, that's probably a good year.
Yeah. And how are you preparing? Because this is your off season right now.
So yeah, November, December is definitely off. Not just us, but everywhere. But here especially, January starts perking some things up. But yeah, you can play year round. Obviously, Florida's got stuff going on. We got stuff going on, so you can play year round easy if you're up for it.
What are you looking forward to in 2023?
Well, now just making sure I finish higher than him. But every year I
Well,
put.
it wasn't a player points thing. This is he has to
thankfully.
he has to beat you in a tournament that both of you guys are participating in.
It's a worse punishment for Abe to have to wear the pleated pants.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
for
you're
Adam to have
kidding.
to
No,
wear the
I
jump.
thought you were on my side on
If
this.
you know Adam, you know that him wearing joggers is that's
I mean, it's
That's a
essentially
lot.
the pleated pants just cuffed at the bottom, like tapered.
Oh, I mean, they're
Exactly.
terrible. They're like made out of like wool and
Are you talking about the pleated pants?
yes. I mean, this would be all bad. If anybody saw me
This would
on
be
social
amazing.
media or with that, I mean, could you imagine what
You
that
could
be?
not wear them to a tournament because you would be all over social media
Oh
with
yeah,
those
I
on.
couldn't do
But
that.
what's a fair how many shots does Adam give
No
Abe
shots.
to make this fair?
Adam
No
needs to
shots.
give me 5 shots.
No.
He's
There's
been
no
playing golf his whole life, guys.
No.
His entire life.
Yeah.
He's never not
Well,
played golf.
at the risk of upsetting Adam, because I know that asking him about handicap gets him upset. What are the respective handicaps
Yeah,
currently?
Objectively, you're not getting any.
Yeah, come on, let's
No, I'm
hear
just
it.
asking.
I'm
what's
a plus 1.8 and Adam's like a 5.
No,
A
what's
plus 5 or a 5?
A
Yeah,
plus
5.
Oh. It's like,
Can you
wow, Adam, what
imagine?
happened?
we would go on the net circuit tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Net games only. What's your handicap right now, Adam?
I haven't even looked. I'd never look.
Because you
I
don't play.
don't know.
Because you don't play in any net games. All right. Well, so are you going to tell us some of your goal for this year?
Yeah, so that was a good question before we got diverted on this nonsense. What everybody should do is you should point out or segment out your top events that you need to play in every year. Whether that's one, maybe it's just one event, maybe it's your club tournament, or if it's 5. So you put those at the top of the 5-year list. That's how you start your schedule. So if, for instance, if you're a top tier women's amateur player, you probably go and you look and say, hey, where's that US Mid-Am at? I'm going to put that first on my list. I'm going to make sure that nothing interferes with that. So that's how you start your schedule. And then from there,
this year.
from there, you tier down and you say, okay, the next set of tournaments, I have 4 more that I'd like to play in. When are they? You know, make sure they fit my schedule. How can I get into them? And you just work your way down. It's a priority list.
Yeah, but you got to play in a lot of events.
Yeah, I'd encourage to play as much as you can, but you still have to prioritize them.
Prioritizing, correct. No, I would agree with that. But I think the way to get better is to play golf tournaments. And I mean, someone like Adam, who's played since he was young, had a great junior career, college career, played professionally, and now is playing amateur golf again. He has so much experience versus someone who's now playing 10 seasons or 11 seasons or 5 seasons. And the way to get better in tournament golf is play tournament golf.
But how about the person that says, well, I want to get better, but I don't know. It's just, there's a block with people sometimes. Like they don't understand that, or they don't still want to take that to the next level.
Yeah. So I think, right, if you play in like team events, that's a good thing. If you have a ladies club or a men's club, start there. I think that's a good way to introduce people to tournament golf. But I think as you do that more and more and more, you get the bug to want to play in bigger events with better competitions. At least that's what's happened for me.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it depends on, and I think, Tori, you can probably attest to this. You played in AGA or AWJ events for years. When you got to the U.S. Women's Mid-Am, that experience was something on a completely different level and made you want to do what you had to do to get back to that experience again.
Yeah. And I've even seen Molly, who went to the USGA Senior Amateur this year in Anchorage. She came back she did really well, by the way. Adam, what'd she make it to? It was around
final 8.
Yeah.
Elite 8. Right?
Yeah. Like she did so well. And when she came back from that, everything had changed in her demeanor as far as like she now signs up for everything.
Yeah.
And before, that was never a priority for her. Even though she likes to compete, we do all the partner stuff and she would do tournaments here and there. Now she's signing up for all individual tournaments and putting herself out there. And it's funny how that click happens when you...
Well, it's not funny and it's not by accident. So, I mean, that's a great example because people may or may not know Molly, but she doesn't get amped up to play much, right?
Well, she enjoys it.
She enjoys it fine, but she's not amped. She's not ready to go.
She gets super amped when it's with me.
But do you think it was the experience she had with you at the Women's Mid-Am that made her go, man, maybe I could do this next year?
Yeah.
And even attempt to qualify.
She had done it before. She went to the USGA Senior Am in Portland. What's that club in Portland?
Waverly?
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. But she didn't make the cut. And I just don't think it made the impact it did on her this year. Because, it's just, you see the results and it's addicting. So,
Well, I was trying to point out, though, is whether it's the U.S. Women's Senior, U.S. Women's Mid-Am, AGA short course, I don't care. Somebody's going to have something on their list if they're playing that they're going to get excited about. And then if they play well at it, that does springboard them to do more. So that's the point of, I think, what we're talking about is get in as much as you can, but still prioritize them. Because you don't want to X out what could be one of your top 5 events, experience, field, venue-wise, and you miss it because you scheduled something else stupid or you just didn't even pay attention to it.
There's a lot going on because I scheduled a trip over the USGA Mid-Am this year by accident.
In 22, right?
And no,
2 years
I did it again in 2023.
No. 2 years in a row. 2
years in a row. But I did move my trip way up in September, thinking it was going to be in that same third week of September it always is, and they moved it up. So I got screwed again. So all this talking Adam's doing, like beating around the bush, that's what he's referring to. Like, how could you possibly not compete in the USGA Mid-Am?
Yes, it is.
That is top priority.
It is very much pointed at you, but it is also applicable to every person listening to this.
Yeah.
Don't overschedule. Don't think that, hey, this tournament's too good, I can't play in it. No, have your priority list, go down from there. And you might only be able to afford 5 tournaments. You might be able to afford 500, but you're not going to play 500. Okay, so which ones?
Yeah.
And you have to work that way.
So, Erin, you worked at the Florida State Golf Association and the Arizona Golf Association. What would you say to the woman or the man who is, let's say, 10, 15 handicap? They play in all the partner events. Okay, they're comfortable there. What do you say to them to try and convince them to go play in an individual tournament?
Ooh. Yeah,
because that is where, as far as the women are concerned, that is where we're lacking.
Right.
It's hard to get women to sign up for individual events. Now, partner events, good. They're sold out. They'd be great.
I think it depends on the person. I think you have to pose the question to them. What do you have to lose? I mean, so let's say you and Molly are always playing in a tournament together in a partner event, but you want to sign up for an individual event. And you say, hey, Molly, come sign up with me for this. You may or may not actually play together that day, but you're there together.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not alone. And I think, engaging her in the idea, whoever this person may be, that she's going to find a large community of people that are exactly invested in exactly what she's invested in. And it's scary until you do it, right? It's the unknown is what makes it so nerve-wracking. But it's always going to be unknown until you do it. So you just have to do it once and then it's not scary anymore. Yeah.
That's a good point. I don't think there's probably a better way to do that because, I mean, it's similar in Dudeville. It's not the same. I mean, I'll go play a tournament. I don't need Abe with me. I mean, he'll go play a tournament he doesn't need with me. But it does make it easier, right? Like if we've gone to one together, it's like, hey, we know that even if the tournament sucks and the field sucks, at least we kind of did it together, whatever.
We have each other.
We have each other.
Yeah.
You know?
And you can hang out afterwards.
But right, you can hang out, you can do whatever, or just bring in your family. So that's another angle. But again, for people listening, if you're comfortable playing in the team event, but not in the individual, then ask your partner. Just say, hey, let's go do this one.
Mm-hmm.
And also to Erin's point and to what Adam's alluding to, community is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You meet so many like-minded people that are trying to achieve the same thing you are. And once you start building those relationships, they become some of the best relationships you've ever had.
Hey,
Yeah.
remind the listeners when you started golfing.
So I played my first tournament here in Arizona in 2012.
Okay, so a little bit over 10 years. How many new friends have you gotten just from playing golf?
A lot.
And are those friends pretty much the ones that you hang out with, communicate with the majority of the time?
Yeah, I mean, Adam and I talk every day. And he and I met, I don't think we met quite in 2012, maybe 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But we met through golf, and our lifestyles were completely different. I mean, he played golf his whole life. I played baseball, then started playing golf. But you're able to meet and experience each other through golf. And yeah, some of my best relationships have come from playing this game.
Now, comparing the women's tournaments to the men's tournaments, as far as the individual ones, the men's tend to sell out quickly. I mean, I think that the AGA, Arizona Golf Association, opened up the year's worth of tournaments, and they are pretty much booked through the year, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, and I would argue that for the most part, most men's events where you're having a partner, there's a net component to it in there somewhere, right? You guys don't have a lot of gross just partner events, right?
All of our partner events are gross.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's so heavily gross here. And the men's, it's crazy. But okay, so the current environment is the men's individual tournaments sell out quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. The women's individual tournaments struggle big time. And this is not just a state level. This is even like country club level, club championships,
Right.
President's Cups. Those they don't get good participation. And almost on a daily, weekly basis, I see in the questions of like chat rooms on Facebook and whatnot, how can I get more participation at my club championship?
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Do men just easily want to like get in there and be scared and be uncomfortable? Or like, what do you think's going on here where women aren't jumping at this opportunity?
So a comment I used to get a lot, especially when I was at the AWGA, when we would, push for, hey, come sign up for the stroke play, come sign up for the match play. You're a 6 handicap. And their response typically was, well, yeah, I'm a 6, but I play at my course all the time. There's no way I could ever win if I come play in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's only ever going to be one winner. So if I have 100 people or 50 people, there's going to be one winner and 49 or 99 not winners,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, women's events and some of the men's events, they take steps to, they flight it. They give 3rd place, 4th place, however many prizes down you want to pay.
Do gross and net.
But I think to that point there, if Abe's never going to approach a tournament and go, man, I can't win this. Doesn't matter who's in the field. Abe's reason for being there is to try and win the event.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't let whoever else is in the field deter him from the thought that he can win.
Is that true though, Abe? Do you go into every tournament thinking you can win it?
1,000%.
Really?
And
Yeah,
I
why
don't.
else would I play?
Yeah. I don't think a lot of women approach it that way.
I don't.
Yeah.
I hope.
And so
That's
they
the difference
enter
between
those
me and
partner events because they, I think, view them as a little bit more social. And
Mhm.
so I'm out here to have fun with my friend. It doesn't matter if I win. It cuts
Less
that edge
pressure.
off. Right. Whereas if I go to the individual event, it's harder to tell yourself, I'm just out here to have fun. Some people are okay with that. Some people are not. But I think that's a big difference between the two genders is that Abe and Adam are never going to sign up for an event and go, it doesn't matter if I win. At least I had a good time. They might say that after they lose, but before the tournament happens, whoever's in the field, whatever the makeup is, they're not going to let it stop them from the idea that their purpose is to win and they believe they can.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
every
like that.
tournament you walk in thinking, I might win this thing,
Oh, yeah.
or I'm going to win this thing.
Either.
What tournament last year did you walk into thinking you had your best chance of winning?
I stopped doing that a long time ago.
What?
Because when
Wait,
I feel like I'm going to play so well in a particular tournament, I never do.
like if you go into it with certain expectations.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that word
So-
again.
Yeah.
So I try to think of it more like the tournament gets in the way of the process of getting better. And so if along the way I'm playing well at that time, then I'll win.
So one of the major championships was at your home course last year.
hmm
That must have been a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think that's harder to. It's harder to play at your home golf course than it is when you go on the road.
And don't you think that's just purely because of expectations? So
A little bit, yeah. I mean, but also, and Adam and I spoke about this. I mean, the conditions that we played Lone Tree at for stroke play was completely different than the conditions that I play in when I'm at that club. Greens aren't that fast. Certain things aren't grown out a certain way. So it looks like a new golf course to me. Yes, I've seen those shots before, but they react completely different. So it's almost like in a tournament, the golf course wakes up is kind of what I tell people. You know, like you go play a practice round on, let's say, Thursday, the event starts on Saturday. For me, the golf course always looks different on tournament day. I don't know why that is.
yeah.
Well, because it is.
Some of that's by design in the way that Logan or Leanne might be working with the golf course to make sure that they have prime conditions for tournament rounds. The USGA for their national championships, they start months in advance with the golf course to make sure that mowing patterns are done right, that the USGA agronomist comes from the region, comes down and spends time with their agronomy team. And, mowing habits, maintenance practices are changed and adjusted so that when tournament rounds start, that course is in the best condition it can be in.
Right. What I will say, though, about it, having that event at my home golf course, so my first round was not good, but the last 3 rounds were pretty solid. And one of those rounds was in some serious wind. I don't think I would have played that well had that not been my home golf course, knowing certain shots need to be hit into certain greens. So I think it's twofold. It feels like a different golf course, but then at times you can have an advantage because you're used to it.
Adam, how do you choose what tournaments to play? Like, what's a good tournament for you? What do you look for?
Venue and field. Short answer.
So obviously the venue is publicized, but how do you figure out who's in the field? I mean, there's ways around that with AGA, but what about more national?
Well, there's a run-in history, right? So even for you guys, you're going to see and know and hear from Kimmy's and Lee's and Tara's and Miles and whomever
Who
have
are
played
friends.
these things, right?
Yeah.
Friends, and they're going to say, "Hey, look, this one was great," and it might be because it was a really cool place that had a great deal on hotels.
Mhm.
I don't know, something stupid, right? Like we had a whole bunch of other stuff to do beyond just the golf tournament. Like for DC, you come here and it's like, well, shit, we're 30 handicappers, we suck, but we still had a bunch of fun because of the atmosphere, because of all the festivities, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all sorts of things that can make a tournament worthwhile, but that just comes from other people playing, getting the experience yourself. And again, that might become one of your top tournaments, and field-wise, competition-wise, it might not even be close to a favorite tournament, but it is because of all the other stuff.
Yeah. And if course is one of your top determining factors with playing in a tournament, it's pretty hard to get some good courses nowadays. At
Yeah.
least it is around here. What was it like in Florida?
I mean, it's equally as difficult down there. And I mean, that's a trend we are seeing across the country.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's a good problem to have because for the most part, it means that there are a lot more people at the golf courses, and it makes it that much harder for the golf course to give up days at a discounted rate to the AGAs to be able to hold their championships. So one, it means that there's probably growth in the game happening, which is great for the game, because that's why I do what I do. That's what my colleagues do, is to grow the game of golf. That's fantastic. However, it makes it harder on the other side of that to get those venues to host your championships, which means, you might see entry fees going up. You might see.
Yeah, you might. It is.
Well,
Which
and
again is a good predicament to be in, because it allows you as a tournament director or rules and comp director to get creative in what you offer around that championship to make it worth the value that the players are paying for it.
Yeah. So is it more a course availability situation or a cost?
I think it depends on the type of venue or the type of course you're going to. At a private club, it could be some availability, but or it's probably more of an availability issue than it is a cost issue. Private clubs do their budgets and things around, obviously, the built-in revenue that they have. They do, a lot of them plan for a certain number of outside events that are going to bring in some revenue. But for them, I think it's more of an availability issue. I can't. I'm already taking the course away from my member for 6 outside events. I can't do 2 more.
Yeah.
The public facilities or the resort courses, it's definitely a cost.
But you do still see that being a little bit of a regional issue, right? Like certain areas, Arizona is obviously unique. I think Florida is similar to it. You think it's the same. I don't know, but it's different in Midwest and Northeast. Courses are much more willing, no?
I don't think so. I think, and the reason I say that is from, and we have some data behind it on the USGA qualifying numbers, and AGA's turning in their qualifying sites to the USGA. Every year it's across the country. It just gets harder and harder for every AGA in the country to be able to secure those courses.
Let's talk about qualifying numbers, actually.
Okay.
What is, with all the USGA qualifiers, what is the most attended? Like, how does it rank with each of them? Even if it's just a educated guess.
I'm going to make an educated guess because I don't have numbers in front of me, but I would argue probably somewhere your men's open and the men's AM, US Open. Those are
the top qualifying.
And they have more qualifying sites than almost any other qualifiers that I'm aware of. And the US Open goes through multiple stages of qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
None of the women's championships have multiple stages of qualifying. They just have the one stage.
Mm-hmm.
So US Open, USAM, I would argue are probably going to be the most popular setups.
Yeah.
Yeah, those get way north of 5,000. But talk about what your qualifiers are. I mean, think about that for these people that are on the fence, right? How many times do they need to play? Is it 36 holes? No, it's one day.
Yeah, one day.
And you're in.
So, let's talk about
8
them.
people.
Let's talk about the
Sometimes.
women's mid-am sector bracket. Okay, because that is the least participated.
Yeah.
How can we convince these women to come out and qualify, considering there's such a good chance that you can qualify and play in these amazing championships?
Yeah. I think some of it is and this goes outside of golf. I think women tend to be the type of people that if I'm not going to be perfect at it, then I'm not ready to do it. We see that with the job market. Women will pass over a job application if they don't meet every single qualification. Where a guy's going to look at it and go, oh, I got 4 out of the 8. Yeah, that's fine. I'll apply. Cool. And I think the same rings true in the golf world that I used to be a college golfer, but now I have 2 kids and I work full time and I haven't practiced. When I go out and play on the occasion, I'm still shooting 75, but I'm not ready for a tournament.
Yeah.
And when we both know that 75 is probably going to get her in the door.
Absolutely. Well,
she might even be the medalist.
Exactly. So what would you say, like if you are, over 25 years old, obviously that's the mid-am age bracket.
Mm-hmm.
What other qualifications would you say right now to the person that's listening? Like if you can check all 3 of these boxes, you need to go try and qualify for the USGA mid-am.
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I'd have to think about that for a minute. The first couple of things that are coming to mind are, you've been a tournament player within the last, 5 or 6 years of your life.
Mm-hmm. And even if the tournaments are league tournaments, club tournaments,
any
absolutely.
kind of competition,
Yep. Uh-huh.
And I would say that you're willing to take the time away from your family to go and participate in the championship.
Yeah.
I think if you can answer those two questions in a positive light, then I think you should qualify. And
I think you even simplify it beyond that. I think you go down to one. What's your handicap max that they'll allow? I don't even know. Do you have one?
they do.
Yeah, I think they do.
Can't remember it off the top of my head, but they do.
One, is your handicap there? Two, can you take the time off? Are you of age? That's it. And if you answer those two yes, I would sign
Yeah,
up.
I mean, this last year's U.S. Women's Mid-Am champion had her family there. Her son was
Mhm.
walking the golf course with his dad. And I mean, I think he was 2 years old, but he was there.
I love it.
I think Erin brings up a good point, right? A lot of it is just time away. I think with women, they have so much responsibility that, to be frank, is just different than us guys.
It is.
And so for them to have the time to practice, to feel good about their game, maybe to even be a member at a country club, it's just different. You know, I don't think a lot of women go to country clubs and say, oh, I'm going to join this country club because it fits me. They
Mhm.
look at it as, is this going to work for my family? Does
Right.
my husband like the country club? Are my kids going to get something out of it? Us guys, I mean, if we're being honest, it's like, man, do I like the golf course? Do I like the guys there? You're not even thinking about like, oh, can the kids play in the pool? Can the kids play tennis? Do they have pickleball courts? Things like that. You just care about you. So I think that's a big piece of the
Yeah,
women's golf world.
and I think that women, I mean, we all hear the term mom guilt all the time. I mean, I'm not a mom, so I can't really reference that. But, you know, that idea of mom guilt, well, I have to make sure my kids get where they need to be. I need to be here for them, all that kind of stuff. But I think beyond that, you know, if Shannon came to you and said, hey, I want to go take a dance class or whatever, will you stay home with the kids tonight? You probably would not say no to her, would you?
Right.
So she just has to ask, like,
Yeah.
just have that conversation. Like, hey, Abe, I want to start playing golf. I'm going to go join the ladies league. They play on Tuesdays. Can you make sure you're home?
Right.
Yeah.
Abe's probably going to say yes.
And I'm going to put a handicap index on that too. I'd say if you're a 10 or under.
Well, no, there is a hard number though.
I know there is, but I don't think
It's
it's any
higher
less
than
than
10.
10. I don't think
Yeah.
it's any less than 10. So
It's higher.
it's higher
But
than that.
let's say it's 12 and a half. Are you at 12 and a half? You're going to tell a chick not to sign up? Why not?
No, trust me, there's plenty of players at a 10 index and lower that do not even think about trying to qualify.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, okay. I have a couple random questions that I want to ask kind of. Hey, what does your practice routine look like?
It's the Tori Totless practice routine.
Stop.
I'm kidding.
Stop.
Do you have the book?
No, I've been asking her for one, but it's weird. I can't get one. She must be
It's in
sold
production.
out. Yeah, must be sold out. It's changed a lot now with the kids getting a little bit older. Our oldest, Lacey, is 6 and is very competitive with soccer. So she has some academy nights twice a week. So for me, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays are now kind of a day that I try to get some golf in. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I just can't. But I like to get out to the golf course. I try to play 9 holes each of those days if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Hit balls, work short game, try to chip and putt as much as I can. But it's nothing real specific other than if I struggled with something at it, say my last event, then I'll put some extra time into it.
It's more maintenance at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Keeping your feel up.
Mm-hmm.
And does just doing that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday feel good to you? Or do you feel like you can show up to a tournament, not do your best, and be like, I needed to do more?
We're about to find out this year because this
Yeah.
is different for me. I've been for a long time kind of been able to do whatever I want.
And it's getting harder with the kids growing up.
Yeah. So we're going to see. I mean, it could either be really, really good and maybe this is kind of the new Abe, or it could be really bad.
Adam, what feels good to you for practice? Like, what amount of practice do you have to do to go into a tournament and think, I've done everything I can?
For me, it's as much as possible. But if I'm getting 3 days a week, that's a pretty good week. I mean, I'm at 1 day a week, maybe 2. And that's not enough for me. And for most people, it's probably not going to be enough. But again, like you guys don't really like practicing all that much, relatively speaking. I mean, you practice a lot, but most people aren't going to be able to do that. They're not
I'd
gonna wanna do that.
actually argue that Abe and I practice a lot. No?
Yeah.
And then what
but
do you
when-
mean we don't like
You
practice?
take sips. You go do your 50-shot challenge, and then you you go take a break. And
That's an interesting.
Well, I
That's an
also
interesting
think-
take.
I also think that for the most part, the people at this table are at a point now where it's not necessarily, yeah, you're fine tuning pieces of your swing, but really you have to exercise your muscle of knowing how to score, right? Because you're going to have you're going to have an off swing day or whatever it is. But what separates the champion is the person who can still score. And that's what you have to practice, is knowing how to score.
Yeah, and you only get that with tournament reps, but, just in the vein of practicing, I mean, yeah, Tori practices a lot. I don't really know Abe's, but if he's at 3 times a week, it's more than mine. But either way.
Playing his whole life, guys.
Either way.
Like 42 years.
Either
worth
way.
of golf.
Yeah, it's
And
a lot
he's
of
got
golf.
a pretty dependable
It's
golf
a lot
swing.
of golf. But for the folks that were
Muscle
listening and don't know what to do, you just go out there. It's kind of like almost like the schedule. You practice as much as you can. And when you're out there, you don't go out there. You don't waste your time 20, 30 minutes driving, maybe an hour drive back and forth for 20 minutes. Go out there at least for an hour, get something out of it. There's, I think, what was we calling about on the other show, practice with purpose or whatever he was talking about. 100%. I mean, I kind of zone out at the range. That's just my meditation time. But for some people, they're not there. They want to go there and actually try to work on shit. So do that, but make it worthwhile. Don't go out there and just zombie hit balls. It's probably not going to help you.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, right? You need to have a plan. You need to know what you're doing, what the weaknesses are in your game. And obviously I know what those are. And so I'll spend more time on that. But generally speaking, I just like to get out and do something golf related. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel like I can compete. And so that's where I'm at right now in my golf journey.
Let's finish it up with your warm up before a tournament round. What does it look like, Adam? What does yours look like?
Full breakdown?
Well,
or just the generic cliff notes?
Yeah, cliff notes of what, like when.
45 seconds. That's what you get at. 45 seconds.
Tell us what you do to warm up before a round that matters.
Okay, good point. For a round that matters, ideally I would like to be there an hour and a half in advance. And one of those hours is spent on the range. And 65, 70% of that is gap wedging down. Basically just getting wedges, timing down, hitting the ball solid. And then 10, 20% on irons. And then another 10, whatever's left over for a couple of drivers and 3-woods. And then I come back down, hit a couple more wedges, and then I go to the putting green, which ideally for 20 more minutes that I got left, that's, just getting the feel of the greens. I don't care about my stroke. I don't, like, even on the range, I'm not worried about my swing and my mechanics. I just want to know, did I get my rhythm? Did I get my tempo? Does it feel good? Am I pushing balls out to the right, or do I got some yanks? Do I, just general things, feel wise. If you're getting to a tournament round and you're worried about your specifics and mechanics, you're probably setting yourself up for some problems.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go with it and you feel it out and you say, okay, at the end of the round, how did that feel? Why did I have 7 pulls off the tee? Why did I miss half of my putts inside of 5 feet? That's when you start doing the analysis post. But if you're doing that during and you're warm up, you're in bad shape. So anyway, long story short, hour and a half for me.
Abe, what about with you?
Yeah, definitely hour and 15. I think I have somewhat of a new routine that I kind of jumped on from a good buddy of Adam and I's. Sean O'Donnell hits a lot of balls before he plays. And I had never done that before. I tried that at the Thunderbolt and probably had one of my better ball striking events. Played terrible. But
okay, wait. He hits a lot of balls.
I'm saying like 70, 80 balls before he tees up.
And that was a lot for you
That
for
would've
a
been
warm up.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
in that 30 range.
Yeah.
But I think I kind of like the idea of hitting a lot of balls. So I'm going to try that this year. But
I would be exhausted.
I know.
but
right?
generally speaking, I like to warm up with my wedges, but I like hitting a lot of long irons
Mm-hmm.
in practice to warm up because, like Adam, I get tempo and timing from long irons. I do not get that from wedges.
Yeah.
So,
So
well, one thing real quick though, 70 balls is a normal thing for an hour, but
you're hitting them pretty quick though for 75 balls for an hour.
well, if you're there for an hour and a half, it's normal. But The other thing, though, is where you put things in. Like I know you at least used to start off on the putting green for a bit, right?
Yes, for sure. Yep.
So that's another thing that people need to just kind of work their way through is, does 45 minutes work for me? Does an hour 15, does an hour and a half work for much best? And how do I fit and fill that time, no matter what number it is? Because you only have so much, right? And you might need to go to the putting green first. I don't. I go there last because I want to make sure my old ass body can hit the ball and I can kick it around on the greens. That's last priority, is just getting the feel for the green. But you might be the opposite. You like putting first. So, those are important things if you're competitive and if you're trying to, not embarrass yourself.
How much time do you allot? Like how much time do you get there ahead of time?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half before your tee time.
Headphones in for at least strong hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Headphones in every time.
Oh yeah, we're not doing any talking. We don't have time to talk.
Is it the same playlist?
No. So one thing I love to do is I just turn Apple Music to shuffle and let that kind of take me on
Wow.
what journey it is. Yeah. So,
But is it Apple Music within your library, or is it just Wow, what's whatever comes up?
It's my library, but I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. There's times where it's just jazz music, and that's what we're going with.
I can confirm he's eclectic.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do a full shuffle because I have Christmas music in there. That would totally mess me up.
Yeah, I got no
Christmas song came on.
I got no Christmas music, but I do have some Christian music in there. Sometimes it throws me off, but then it just brings me back to gotta love everybody, I guess.
Oh, you guys, thank you for being on the show today. I have to say that I met Adam and Abe about just over a year ago, and they have inspired me to play in more tournaments, put myself out there more. And while I've had some of the scariest, most embarrassing moments of my life this year, I am also playing the best golf I ever have.
Speaking of, can we get a handicap update for the listeners?
It's a +1.
Plus what?
+1.
That's it?
1.
Oh,
Yeah.
1.1.
Yes,
So we're now
it's getting
north
there.
of 1 point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have been put in a lot of extremely uncomfortable spots and quite embarrassing on a few, but you have to just trust the process and know that the game will come along, and it has. So thank you, you guys.
Every golfer has those moments.
Oh, do you miss competing, Erin?
No.
No.
I loved it when I did it. I had a blast doing it, but no, I am much happier on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Erin, for being here.
Yeah.
You have to come visit again. Don't get
Absolutely.
lost in that Northeast hustle and bustle. Okay, come hang out with us again, and we're gonna have to get on the golf course next time too. Why are you in town? What's going on?
So I'm actually here with Mike Sweeney, my coworker. He's the Western Regional Affairs Director, and as part of my getting on board and kind of learning the ropes, I am accompanying Mike with a meeting at the AJ's office tomorrow, and then a committee member luncheon tomorrow afternoon.
Fantastic.
So, guys, if you want to play in any tournaments in the Northeast, just call Erin.
Yeah, plug yourself. Let people know how to get. I mean, she's a part of the encyclopedia you guys have. Use it.
Would you say that all states have the same amount of golf tournaments? Like, do they all offer?
No. I mean, it's a wide range, and it really depends on
the membership
and what they like. For example, Rhode Island golf is really big in their one day events. They kind of were pioneers in that road, and so they're really big into the one day type atmosphere. Certainly they run championships, but not every association is going to offer something like a one day, which is more of like a social at a really nice club, type of round.
Well, there's lots of things to sign up for. So absolutely reach out to your state golf association, and their website will have all the tournaments there. But again, thanks guys for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.